The day after Thanksgiving, christened in recent years with the unfortunate name of Black Friday, has long been the busiest shopping day of the year. It is also a day of unbelievable violence in the malls, the shopping centers, the stores, as those good people who had so piously been giving thanks for their blessings several hours before now trample, push, and claw one another, and sometimes shoot and stab and pepper spray one another, all in the hopes of getting some little video game or some waffle iron. These people set all their hopes on the things they so treasure, and some of them are willing to do anything to each other to get to those gadgets first. Time is limited, and they are afraid not to get there in time and so miss out. But all these things are material things based in time, things that pass, things that cannot possibly satisfy their hopes or their inmost longings. A few years ago on Black Friday, I was privileged to be invited to a wonderful place called the City of Hope, a tremendous hospital and medical research center that has been around for over 100 years, formed by far-thinking people who wish to alleviate human suffering and stave off death. Through their marvelous work and research, they have saved the lives of many people over the years. On that day, I was there to dedicate a new memorial stone and plaque in their beautiful rose garden of meditation. This afforded me a wonderful opportunity to see this city of hope and to think about what hope really is. That institution has provided much hope for many people for many years. Yet I looked around me in that garden and found myself surrounded not only by over 2,000 rose bushes, but also by many stone markers commemorating people who had hoped to live and who had eventually died. Everyone does. Even the noblest of human endeavors is based in time, and so cannot fulfill our inmost hopes, for those hopes cannot be fulfilled in time. Later that same day, I was called to a hospital where a very sick friend had been taken. I could not bring him any of those treasures found at the malls that morning, mainly because I was not one of those people stampeding the malls. Nor could I bring him even the human consolation of doctors and tell him he was going to get better. What I could bring him were the sacraments of God. What I could bring him was a hope of a life beyond this one. What I could bring him was an alleviation of the fear that this life is all there is. I was able to bring him a hope not based in time, but based in the eternal. In what is our true hope rooted? In my mind, I go back now to that same wonderful city of hope. There in the garden of meditation stands a magnificent wrought iron gate on which is written the creed of the city of hope. One simple statement that says it perfectly. There is no profit in curing the body if in the process we destroy the soul. This is the key to our hope. Not the things of time, not the things of earth, but the things of eternity, the things of the soul, the things that do not die. I was reminded of the classic lines of Alexander Pope. Hope springs eternal in the human breast. Man never is, but always to be blessed. The soul, uneasy and confined from home, rests and expatiates in a life to come. Hope springs eternal because hope is rooted in the eternal. What brings us to the eternal? When I walked through that beautiful iron gate in the city of hope, and to my delight, that gate led me to a statue of the one woman in the history of humanity who brought hope to us in her arms. It was a statue of Mary, the mother of Jesus, about to give birth to the hope of the world. Advent is the time for hope. If Christmas is the time when our hopes are fulfilled, then Advent is the time to take a look at all our false hopes, those substitute things that only seem to give us hope, and to realize that our hope cannot be rooted in these, because they are based in time alone. No, deep inside our heart is an overpowering suspicion that we were not made for here. A deep-seated longing for something beyond time and space, for something beyond this world, beyond this body, something rooted not in time, but in the eternal. In the words of C.S. Lewis, if I find inside myself a desire which no experience in this world can fulfill, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world. That other world is where we find the fulfillment of all our deepest hopes. Many, many years ago, long before the coming of the Christ, the wisest person in the world was a man by the name of Socrates. As he was facing his own death, Socrates said something remarkably prophetic. All the wisdom of this world, he reflected, is but a tiny raft upon which we must set sail as we leave this earth. And how I wish there were a firmer foundation on which to sail, a divine word, perhaps. That divine word came down to earth centuries later in Bethlehem. That divine word came to bring us hope, to be the fulfillment of all our desires, of all our longings, of all our inmost hopes. That divine word was made flesh and became one of us. Advent, then, shows us how futile time is. For time cannot make us happy. Time cannot lift us up. Time cannot even save us from our baser nature, as we saw on Black Friday. Advent drives us to the eternal coming of that divine word so ardently sought by ancient Socrates, to that eternal Bethlehem where earth and heaven come together, where time in which our feet are now planted is united with eternity in which our hearts are ever rooted. Let us fix our eyes on the true city of hope, the Bethlehem of the immortal soul. It is there that we find Christmas. It is there that we find hope. It is there that we find God.